Welcome to this segment, and in this segment I'm going to show you how to connect your file or your PHP file to the database. Remember we did design the Mysql database. We designed the database called shop in my previous video. So if you missed how to create a database in your previous video, then it means that this video will not be very productive to you, because you have missed some steps that we had already covered. So if you missed it, just go to the description section, go and watch how we created the database called shops. Now in this particular case, I'm going to show you how you can be able to create a configuration file that will enable you to connect your database to the PHP file. Remember, PHP is a server-side language, and therefore in order for you to communicate with the database, there is need for you to have a configuration file. Now, when you want to configure the PHP file to your server or your database, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to create a folder in the root directory. Okay, so how do you create a folder in the root directory? Basically, you go to this PC. You go to this PC. If you are using Windows, you go to this PC, then you go to local disk C, and then you go to WAMP64. Remember, I'm using the web server called WAMP server. So I'll go to WAMP64. I double click on it, and then I look for a folder called www. So this is our root directory. So I'll double click on it, and then in this root directory, I'm going to create a folder. And this folder, you just right click on an empty space here, and then you just go to new, and then you create folder. And this folder, I'm going to call it shop. So that is the name of the product of the folder. So after doing that, the next thing that we want to do is just to create a file. Now I've created the folder that is going to accommodate all the files. Yeah. So in order for me to be able now to create the configuration file, I just need to go to the editor, VS Code. Yeah. So I'll just go to my desktop, and then I click on VS Code. Yeah. Once it has loaded, the next thing to do now, we are going to create a file called configuration.php. So I click on file, and then I go to new file, and then I'm going to write there config. So the name of this file is config.php, and then I just create file. So create file, you click here where they have said create file. So once I click there, it is going to create that file for me. So it is going to ask me where exactly I want to save that file. So already the file is it has opened in WAMP64 www. So in case it has not opened in this particular folder, you just go to this PC, you go to program, the WAMP server, you go to this PC. Let me just go back, go to this PC, and then you go to local disk C, you double click on it, you go to WAMP server. Then inside the WAMP server we have www, you double click on it, and then you go to shop, and then you double click on it, and then you can now be able to paste it there. So you just create file. So automatically you create file, it is going to show config.php. Now you can just type the code there. It is supposed to be opening angle bracket PHP, then you press enter. Then we can have the closing we have the opening PHP, and then angle bracket question mark PHP, and then down here we can just close the file, so that you can go to enter what is contained in that file in this particular case. Now what you need to do, we need to define some constants. So we are going to say the first constant you are going to define is the DB name. So we are going to use the word DB name. So database name, basically it means database name. and then we define the database name the way it is. So we are going to say the database name is shop. and then you put a semicolon in front there, then you press enter. You move to the next line, you say define again, and then we say define. In this case we just say db user. So who is the user? Root. So the word is root, so that is our default user, and the root is supposed to be in small letters. Then you just need to put the semicolon at the end, then define. Then we can just say db password. So remember, these are the name of the constant, so you can write the way you want to write, but I prefer to write the way I'm writing here so that it looks better. Remember, we are not having any password that you have set for our database, and therefore we are going to leave it blank. You just put those quotations without anything in there. So when you leave the quotation without anything there, it means that we don't have any password that we are using in this case. Then the next thing that we are going to do, we are just going to say define, the last one, define. Okay, we can just say define db host. So who is are we going to have it running in a global scale or just running in the machine? So we are going to have it running in the machine, so that's why I'm using that db host. So db host is supposed to be in bracket, in quotes, single quotes, host, and then the name of the host is localhost. So the name of the host is localhost, like that. Good. So put that semicolon at the end. Now the next thing that we want to do, those are what we call the constants. And remember, the constants that I'm just defining here, they are the things that we are going to see as we go further. The db name is shop, then you are using the username. The default username is root. db password is empty, and then you have db host, localhost. And then now the next thing to do is just to say $. We are creating a variable, and in this variable is going to help us to check if all these components that you have just stated above is available. So that's why we are creating this constant. So we are saying that this variable, and this variable we are saying that is con, and then we are saying that at MySQL li connect. So this is a function. To MySQL connect is a function. So in this function is just going to check if all these components or these conditions that you have stated above, they are all intact before you can be able to access your database. Now we are saying that the first thing that you need to check, it checks db host. First of all, it must check the db host. Check the db host. Yeah, so it is displayed here, so I just double click on it. So I first check the db host, then you put a comma. Secondly, you need to check the db user. Check the db user, and the user is supposed to be the root directory. And then after that, you are supposed to check the db password. The password should be empty. And then the last thing that you need to check is the db name. You can see the way it has been arranged. So this concept or these conditions are going to be checked one by one. In case one is missing, it will just tell you that this cannot be able to run. So it is supposed to be db name. So db name is the last one. So all these conditions must be fulfilled and be assigned to this variable. These conditions that you are seeing here, once it has been accepted, or once all these conditions have been checked, the value or the results is going to be assigned to this variable called con. And now we are going to have an if statement that will be able to check this. So we are going to say that if in case, con, if in case con that those conditions have not been met. So we are going to say that if con is not met, so we just use that exclamation mark, which means not. not con. Those means that all these conditions have not been met. So we just say $sign con. Yeah. So if con, $sign con, yes, and then we can now put the condition that if all these concepts have not been met, so what are you going to do? You die. Yeah, die, and then you display the results as follows. You just say could not connect, yeah. Then you just put the full colon, and then you tell us where the error is. So you just say dot. Now dot is used for concatenation. If you don't know, dot is used for concatenation. So this statement you are saying could not connect, and then now you concatenate with the error that has just occurred. So you just say MySQL connect, MySQL connect. So whatever the error was will be displayed in this particular case, connect error. Yeah, so that is it. So this is a function. So it is going to check if there is any error, then it is going to display to you the error that has just occurred. So if you have done all that, you have made sure that you have set this in the root directory, that is www. You have been able to define the constants, everything has been defined. You can be able to save this, and then we want to give it a trial to see actually if it can be able to connect. So if our database is connecting correctly, then it is not going to display anything. It is just going to leave it blank. But in case there is an error, it is going to display to us the error message. So let me minimize this, go to my browser, and then I just want to type the statement there, localhost, and then I use the name shop, localhost, then shop. So if I run this, so if the answer, if it's correct, it's going to give me a blank. But if it is having an error, it's going not. So you can see here we have got the root config PHP. So if I run this, good. So you can see it is displaying to me an empty space. You can see an empty space. This implies that the program is running correctly. So if I can just write a statement here so that everybody can be able to notice what I'm just trying to explain. I can just say else. I can say echo, and then we can just say the statement there, successfully connected. So that is the statement that is going to be displayed, and therefore if I save this and then I refresh my page, it should display that output. You can see successfully connected, and therefore means that your PHP or configuration file, it is working correctly to connect your PHP and then connect with the database. Now there is something that you need to understand in this case, that in each and every file that you're going to create, you must include this file. So this file is going to serve as the basic. It's the first file that should be passed every time you create any file in this particular project, and therefore that is very important. Now we are going to the next part, and that is to create our HTML page. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to support me, and then let me see you in my next video. Bye bye for now.